This is the iBuyer Experiment Podcast, how technology is changing real estate, with your hosts, Kayla Leos, Jason Leos, Keith Howard, and Elliot Tomaszewski. Please consider subscribing so you're notified when we launch a new podcast. Let's go.
All right, welcome to Zoodealio episode 3 podcast, along with my boy Elliot Tomaszewski, my lady Kayla Leos, and my homie Keith Howard.
What up?
What's up, guys?
Yep. What's up, baby?
I'm actually out here outside. It's only 89 degrees here in Phoenix, and it's beautiful. I think Keith's outside too, right?
Yeah, might as well take advantage of it before it hits $110 in like 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, try next Thursday. It's supposed to be 109.
Jeez.
Well, while you guys are frying out there in Arizona, I'm out here just chilling nice in space. I hit my boy Elon up, gave me a ride on his Roadster, so figure I'd mix it up this time.
Nice.
Yeah, what about that Elon Musk listing, I think $90-something million in real estate on Zillow for sale by owner?
Right?
Yeah, that was funny. So I guess he's getting out of California, huh?
Yeah, well, word on the street, he's jumping to Texas, right?
That's what he said. If California keeps being as hardcore and continues to prolong the shutdown, he doesn't want to be a part of it.
Well, I think he got his way. I think he opened up. So, and they're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, and they're not going to. They even said that they said that they weren't going to fine him, right? I mean, whoop-de-doo, it was like $1,000 a day measly fine, which to an operation like that means nothing. But I thought that was funny that they redacted that they were going to be, or redacted that they were going to be fining him daily.
Yeah.
Casey.
Yep.
So we got some topics to talk about. I don't know if you want me to start, but I guess I will. Housing starts. They fell very sharply in April. Home building dropped I think a 5-year low in April. So I think it dropped about 30%.
Home starts, right?
Pretty significant. Yeah, that's the housing starts. I'm sorry, did I say that?
Yeah. No, I was clear.
Yeah, so it's actually the lowest level since 2015. Trying to think about what was going on in 2015. It was just I don't know what was going on, but anyway.
It's just kind of a normal market, and we just
there was a lull.
Slowly doing the trend, but nothing crazy.
In 2015.
Yeah, and obviously this is because of the coronavirus, but they fell in all four regions. So I would imagine that builders just kind of halted as they did they stayed at home, and no one was out there looking at houses and starting them. So I'm thinking probably in May we're obviously gonna tick up, and I don't know. But they had mentioned that they were only expecting a 26% decline, and really it came in at a little bit over 30%. So it was pretty big.
Well, and what about the whole fact of it's probably hard to social distance, right? When you're framing, doing drywall, flooring, putting on some roof, electrical, plumbing, all that stuff. It's kind of hard to social distance when you're doing that stuff, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they should wear all their inner tubes.
They would. Go ahead, Kayla.
I was just thinking that a 30% decrease, and that's a national number, and we're talking in housing markets, you take places like Minnesota, right, where it's freezing during the winter. And I would imagine April is probably one of their busiest months. And so I think that when we look at that number, on the surface, it's huge. But then when you consider the seasonality of a lot of markets, I think it's pretty big. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out.
So curious to know your guys' insight on this too, because through one of the best barometers of our market was without a doubt new builds. So it's something for me personally, I have been watching through, personal relationships, whether it be new home sales agents, friends with a couple of marketing directors at some builders. And without a doubt, that's one of the pulse things that I've been watching over the last couple of weeks. And they have all said that no question, April was ghost town. It literally shut off the faucet, the kink in the hose from our last podcast that we were talking about. However, they have all said that within the last 2 weeks, things have exploded again. Lori was just sharing the other day that she's so busy she can't even like function. Every single time she's in the new home models, like literally start to finish, she's having, I don't remember exactly how many people she said, but it's just a constant flow of people through the houses. So your prediction, Kayla, what you said, I think we're really going to see those numbers spike with that king toes. Now that it's going to flow, boom.
Well, and I think people are bored too, right? We're still kind of bored. I mean, Arizona recently started opening back up, so you can go get a haircut now. You can, go to the park now, go hike, those sort of things. But I think in general, people are kind of bored, and new builds are open. And so I wonder how many looky-loos are just walking through. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I think that our market, we still have a very low supply of inventory. And I know that things are picking back up, they're heating back up. I think that kind of segues into Keith and what you've seen recently. Why don't you share with us what's going on in your neck of the woods, Keith?
Yeah, well, I'd like to touch on the activity real quick. I looked it up this morning because I've been having to tell clients how strong the market is, and it's changed so much from what Jason just said 45, 60 days ago. So total, we have just a hair over 13,000 homes, and that includes like the manufactured homes, the mobile homes that kind of skew our inventory a little bit, I feel. So if we just dive specifically into single family units, active, it's a little over 10,200, and there's over 9,800 under contract. So we literally have a hair over of a month of inventory. So even with the increase that we saw, the buyers the buyers' confidence there. So I think here locally we're going to see a strong market, and another way that I think we're going to be able to continue to tell is you follow the people. There's been an unprecedented amount of people moving out of California, New York, Michigan, where some of the shutdowns seem to be a lot more hardcore and are going on longer. And of course, it's kind of I'm sure most people would expect this, but top 50 Phoenix is one of the top 50 cities for people to move to right now. And so I think that's huge. And then
it's hot here. You don't have as much coronavirus. It dies off, right?
Yeah.
There's no way it's gonna stay alive in the summertime here.
Oh, it'll definitely die off.
You just stay outside in your 110 degree weather, and you'll be healthy.
You may die from heat exhaustion.
Dehydration.
Won't get coronavirus.
Water. Yeah.
Well, I think, totally agree with you, Keith. We have an extremely low supply of inventory, not a lot of homes on the market. I think that what's interesting, though, is that, initially when the pandemic kind of hit, I saw a spike in inventory and there was more homes coming on the market than normal. But then that sort of like leveled off. And right. I don't know if it's, sellers are nervous, they're scared, they don't want people traipsing through their homes. And so I think that, it's interesting because all of this kind of lends itself to a more digital experience when you're selling your home, and something that I've been passionate about for a very long time, just because of the efficiency of being able to sell your home, without having to have open houses, without having to have a ton of showings. I mean, I can remember when the 3D Matterport scan came out, we were the first broker in Arizona to invest in that technology because I see into the future and I see how that can really change the way people buy and sell homes. And so I think that, now that we actually have this pandemic that we're in the midst of, I think that consumers are really going to adopt to these new technologies, and they're going to seek out the real estate agent that can provide that digital experience. And so I'm really super excited about what our software can do for real estate agents so that they can actually offer these tools to their clients, and we can sell homes without having to expose our clients to the nasty coronavirus, really, truly. And it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll actually dive into, what you'd asked me, what's going on in my neck of the woods. I've had more past clients / referrals in the last 30 days than the last 6 months.
Wow.
Just phone call after phone call. And it was, it's been pretty awesome because I've been able to get, a lot of different perspectives, but I would say the overall consensus for me personally on my experiences with the clients that I'm talking with, they feel uncertain. So we're seeking advisement. Hey, should I hold on to my house? Should I sell it now? What's going on? And so everyone was very pleasantly, a lot of people were surprised how strong the market was, but they were also very thankful, and they did want, a lot of them wanted, a quote unquote cash offer on a property. But right now, these, large institutional buyers, we don't need to name them. We all know who they are, aren't really giving offers right now. So they actually were very interested in that, but, we are going to go the more traditional route just because, those iBuyers still haven't, opened up their marketplace. But I think that, I'm talking to them about having a platform where they could track everything online, still going a traditional route and putting it on the open market to get top dollar. They were very excited to be able to have that type of access to that technology during the listing. So that was exciting to get people to, they're just adopting it. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is kind of like the stock market, what's going on with the housing market. I think so. The stock market, as you guys are probably aware, that it's popped back, quite a bit from where the lows were. But here's the thing, the highest stock market, or the highest stocks are just like in certain sectors, And so I think with what's going on with the housing market is you're going to have some very strong areas of the country
Sectors
that are going to be popping higher, just like the stock market, like your Amazons, your Facebooks, the technology stocks that are just flying high past their highs of the year. And then you're going to have parts of the country that suffer. And so that's I'm going to take this down to Kayla, where I think she's got some information about some of the areas that may be suffering in the country and why. You're taking a picture of us, aren't you?
Sorry, I was just posting that on my Instagram.
Social.
Great point, Jason. I'd never thought of it that way. I'd never thought of certain states as correlating them to certain
sectors.
stocks, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like
Genius.
based on like what Keith shared and what you shared, Elliot, probably Arizona is more like the Amazon, right? Maybe, we're affected. Obviously, people had to stay home. We're doing what we can to contain the virus, but thank God, there have been very few cases in Arizona, and comparatively, right? And so I think
per population, right?
Exactly. So I definitely, that's an interesting take. I absolutely agree with what you're comparing to there, Jason. And the parts of the market that could suffer, well, I thought it was interesting. Glenn Kelman, the CEO of Redfin, recently said that vacation rentals are going to be toast. That was the word he used. It was an article on Market Watch. And he said that, a lot of times the people that are able to purchase these vacation rentals, they severely leverage the ability to get into that vacation rental. So their liquidity is, so small. And if you have someone that owns several vacation rentals and they're not bringing in the income that they're used to, which is paying their mortgage, we're going to see probably a sell-off of vacation rentals. That's what Glenn Kelman is saying. He is predicting that beach towns are going to be hit very, very heavily. He actually said that it was a great opportunity for iBuyers. His whole thing is this market that we're in is perfect for the iBuyer model. But he said they're having to watch their margins. They did start acquiring properties again, but they're having to be very difficult. He likened it to if you were going to shoot a basketball and you weren't going to be able to see if the basketball made it through the hoop until 6 months later, you would definitely, the shot would look a lot different, right? I mean, that analogy was insane. And it really got me thinking, like, absolutely, he's absolutely right. We don't know what the market's doing. So obviously, iBuyer service charges will probably be higher. He also mentioned, though, that while the market and the consumer really would love this product right now, the investor that's funding these iBuyer models is probably not as risk averse, and so they're probably not wanting to actually shell out the cash to make the model successful right now. So there's a lot going on, and that was kind of like my tidbit and what I thought was really interesting. What do you guys think?
Well, I find that funny what you're talking about, because I think I read or at least parts of that same article, or I don't know if we're paraphrasing off the same article, but Rich Barton, I know, came back and said that the demand is as high as it's pretty much ever been, which, again, big shocker, right? Take it away, and of course everybody wants it, and especially in an uncertain time, they're looking for a certain sale. And then that's when the iBuyers weren't there, right? Which let's not beat around the bush. They have absolutely taken this thing on the nose as it speaks, as it sits right now, and they're coming back, reemerging. But it's because of the fact of, again, it's Jason, it's funny how all this comes together. The investor markets pulled their funding, right? So a lot of these guys, they leverage all of these properties. They have a huge amount of liquidity, but then they also run commercial lines of credit on this to buy at the levels that they do. And all that is Wall Street, based essentially. And when that disappeared, their ability to buy houses virtually disappeared at night at the level that they needed to too. So that's, to me, kind of one of the elephants in the room that, I think a lot of people want to get mad at them for doing it. But at the end of the day, it's all based on what you can do and what you can't do. And their ability to buy got taken away from them.
And so, I think we're all sitting in our homes. Like, I think we were talking about that last week. Is like everyone's sitting in their homes going, do I really want to live here? Do I want to update my home? Do I want to move? Do I want to upgrade? And so there's just a lot of some restless people that are going to want to move. So I think that's definitely pushing some of the movement as well.
Sounds like you're talking about real life, Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I didn't really think about that. It's kind of like, and what better way to have a fresh start, as hopefully the things continue to, go into phase, 2, 3, 4, or whatever that happens to look like. I think people are going to want to change. And I think the people that's been reaching out to me personally, it's more about that. They're like, okay, well, I'm ready to do it because the last couple of months have been crazy. And I think that's just in our species. Right? We fear change, but we also love it at the same time.
Yeah.
So I have a quick question for us, in light of everything that, again, to me, this has been kind of one of the elephants in the room that we haven't talked about the last 2 times. And my question is this. So, Eric Wu, in all his amazing abilities, fortunately was able to work out something with SoftBank to where that they're able to, slowly but surely be opening up in markets again to start buying houses based on what we said. However, they have not elected to start working with agents yet. They are 100% going directly to consumers, making offers directly to consumers, but yet they have not opened up the agent portals where an agent can take the offer to Opendoor and get an offer on behalf of their client, so their client has the representation that they want and need in these circumstances. What do we think about that?
Well, I'd like to just share something real quick on a personal experience. We actually submitted a couple properties to Opendoor last week, and at first I was just getting not an error message, but saying, sorry, unfortunately we're not purchasing homes at this time. And then that was about 2 weeks ago. Last week, it was Thursday or Friday, I submitted, and I got a message that they received it, and like an email like a minute later, and I'm like, whoa, is their evaluation system like that freaking crazy already? But then I opened it up, and it just gave me market statistics, what they thought the house was worth, but that Opendoor at this time is not going to purchase the property, but they've sent it out to their investor partners that will, and if they're interested, will notify you within 24 to 48 hours if any of our investor partners are interested. I haven't heard anything since on either one of them, so I guess their investor partners aren't interested, but I thought that was very interesting. And that was from an agent submitting it, not a homeowner.
Wow. Yeah, I think they might be second guessing their strategy to work with agents. Maybe, I don't know. What did they? I thought that Keith had mentioned that. Did you say they had said that they were just ramping up something, or and that they were gonna possibly work with agents like, you know, their next level or something, or.
Well, what were we told, Keith, by our contacts inside? Share that with us.
Yeah, so I don't remember the verbiage to the T without looking at it, but essentially what it was is I think they're working very diligently more than ever on their automated evaluation system, which makes sense with the amount of employees that, you know, were let go.
600.
And the verbiage was, we want to work out all the kinks before we open it up to agents. So I think that they're definitely working on something internally with their evaluation system that I think is going to be more automated than ever before. And I think that they're not wanting to get hit too hard too quick again. And then they're buying properties at crappy numbers, or people are getting upset and disappointed. That was my perspective. I don't have a perspective that they don't want to work with agents.
And remember, they let go 30% of their employees.
Yeah, huge.
Right.
600 people, right?
Well, I think Winston Churchill said, never waste a good crisis. And we talked last week about how the right sizing of their company could have been very strategic. It could have been because they are moving towards more of an AI environment, and they don't need as many humans. But we could also be way over speculating all of this. I think that, you know, there's no doubt that when a consumer submits their home to Opendoor and they're not working with a real estate professional, they're not getting the fiduciary, assistance from a real estate professional. They're not getting the real estate professional's opinion of market value. They're not getting the real estate professional's opinion of BINSR repairs. You know, all of those repairs come up on the inspection report, right? And so I think that working with a less savvy consumer, not to say that consumers aren't savvy, because they are very savvy, but when you submit your home to an Opendoor, to an OfferPad, to a Zillow, and you have a real estate professional, then you're going to have that real estate professional that's going to say, oh, wait a second, that value, whoa, that's really low. Or, whoa, wait a second, those repairs that they're asking for, super uncommon, like, you know, hold out, you know. So I think that, you know, you got a less savvy consumer in some aspects, and so they're probably able to make more margin, which is probably very beneficial to them during these uncertain times.
Yeah, that simple get out of jail card, right? Just let's go. So, there was, gosh dang it, what was it? There was one of the things I wanted to ask that you were, just based on what you said. I don't know. It left me at the moment.
But we'll see.
Maybe we'll circle back.
We'll see. I think, you know, there's a lot of agents that are trying to work with the iBuyers, and then for some reason, if they don't, you know, they don't want to work with agents anymore. You know, I'm very curious on how that's going to shake out and what agents are going to think, how they're going to respond to that.
Yeah, I remember what it was that I was asking about. It's that how hard it is to find the data of how many of their transactions on an annual basis come from directed through agents, right? Because they have that stat that they've tossed out there that, hey, when you sell with Opendoor directly, you know, or list with Opendoor directly, you know, in their new direct sale or reserve program, that they sell for 10, 11% more. Well, that's because the deal that the agent brought to them, of course, you know, they bought it at their, you know, slightly below market plus their service fee, right? Those are all coupled into one. And when they turn around and sell it, that is, you know, it's that 10, 11% margin. Just like, you know, back when we had, you know, kind of built OfferVana, or started building OfferVana, and we did that huge study on what their real margins were. If you guys recall, that number was about 10% of what they acquired it for to what they liquidated it for. So that's right in line with what we found as well. So
yeah, super interesting stuff. I mean, I'm just excited. I'm excited for, you know, the future and how real estate will be changed because of all of this. Because I think that you know, 5 years from now, when we look back, we're going to see some fundamental shifts in the way buyers and sellers conduct real estate. And it was happening already. And I just think that all of this COVID is just going to accelerate that process. So it's going to be really interesting.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we have home permits, the data coming out on Thursday. So I guess we'll talk about that next week. See what the market's doing. If there's people actually going into home builders and those home builders submitting for permits. See if those uptick, they go down tick, whatever they do. But it's very interesting to see what this market's going to do.
Yeah. Hey, I have just a couple quick statistics that literally just came out today from marketwatch.com. And, now that almost 90 days have gone by, I think we're finally starting to get a picture painted here. So it said over 4.1 million Americans are now skipping their payments, and people have been taking that forbearance plan. That'll be really interesting to see when the payments are due. And they can't either make all the multiple payments in full, or if they have to make a higher payment than before to slowly catch up. So honestly, I thought the number would have been more than 4.1. But that could have a little bit of effect. And then two, I kind of had this hunch, and supposedly, according to a report from First American Financial, the job losses largely caused by the coronavirus were concentrated severely in the service sector. Yeah. And this is their exact quote. They said because those jobs are lower skilled and lower paid, it's less likely that the newly unemployed highs were already homeowners. And so even though that the unemployment is at all-time high because of the service industry that was hit the hardest, those people, weren't making, 50, 60 plus $1,000 a year and potentially could afford a home. So I just thought that was interesting that maybe the unemployment isn't going to affect us as much as we thought for the housing market specifically.
And that's really interesting data, Keith. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
All right. Well, I guess does that wrap it up?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got about 4 minutes to try to stay within our cap. The last thing I want to share real quick in that time frame was $105 million was just brought into the marketplace from Homeward. So big congratulations to them for, I think that's their Series B that it was. It was either Series A or Series B that they did. They raised approximately $25 million in equity and $85 million of one of those commercial lines of credit that we talked about in debt. So they are really interested. I'm really interested to see how well that's going to do, because that's going to parallel a lot with our Trade-In Plus program. What that is, just for those of you watching that don't know, is they buy your house for you in cash, giving you the ability to negotiate an awesome deal. They do have a fee for you to use their cash, but then they let you list your home for sale after you move out with any agent you're choosing, get a mortgage with whoever you want. So it's a completely open platform for the agents, which is one of the things I think we're going to continue to really, really see is more of this tech open platforms working with all agents. Because when you put this type of technology and the power of agents' hands, we are talking boom, game changer stuff. So all you agents out there that are intimidated by these big bad boys with billions of dollars, well, guess what? There's billions of dollars that are going to be built around you and elevating your game. So that's my quick share.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, super interesting. I know we've got a couple minutes left. I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into that. How would you say Homeward compares to HomeLight?
So Homeward focuses on just they pretty much have one particular product, and it is that they buy your house for you in cash, right? HomeLight is a myriad of services from how they first blew up on the scene was, let's identify an agent, let's identify a good mortgage specialist, but they do have a trade-in program as well, and their trade-in program is actually pretty cool because you can turn around and sell your house with that HomeLight agent after they buy it for you, and they will actually return some upside in theirs too. Is to the best of my knowledge. I'm not super savvy on their program, but I believe that is what they're offering in theirs. So do you know more?
I think that was a great recap from, my knowledge of the two companies. Question for you on HomeLight. Now, are they a lender or are they just an intermediary that purchases your home?
They are a lender, right? Aren't they? Don't they have a lending? Go ahead, Jay.
No, I don't think HomeLight does. I think HomeLight is an intermediary to whatever that word is, to lenders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they use a myriad of different lenders.
Yeah. So what I believe what they do is they provide the service, and then they catch like a consulting fee or like a referral fee. Like I'll call Homeward out straight up. Their cost of money is not cheap for them to provide the capital to you is 2 to 3% of the purchase price of the house. So the benefit though is you potentially can get up to 5% discount on the house, studies show, right? So you're still going to catch a 2% margin to your favor in that circumstance if you buy the house right. So
depends on the market.
Of course, depends on the market. Still going to put yourself in first place.
Well, and I think Elliot, you and I always have like a really nice little argument over this because in our market, I think it's BS to say that if you're a cash buyer, you get a 5% discount.
Especially underneath 300, right? Good luck.
That's just my opinion.
But
yeah, I know that there is data out there that says that you can get 5% discount buying in cash. But yeah, it's interesting. I think that what's really cool and kind of like common theme of something we talk about a lot is these new tech-enabled platforms, these new concepts are really easing the stress of selling and buying a home. And for me, that's what it's all about. How can we give the consumer an amazing experience? How can it be easy, simple, quick, efficient, all of that great stuff. And I don't know, it's exciting. And
without costing an arm and a leg.
Yes, without it costing a fortune. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Zoom's yelling at us. Wrap it up. We got like seconds. So.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
All right.
Hey, thanks so much, guys.
Episode 3.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you later.
See
See you next week. Bye.
We truly appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today on the iBuyer Experiment podcast. Please remember to like and subscribe so that you're notified when we launch new podcasts. We'll catch you on the next one.
Show you the money.